Hello, everyone, and welcome back again to Own Your Image, Effortless Style, Branding, and Extraordinary Confidence. I'm Deshante.
I'm Kanae.
And today we have with us Mike Zeller. He is an extraordinary businessman. He's a business architect and mentor. He has started or helped to start over 15 different businesses across multiple industries. And he offers a high-level mastermind class for entrepreneurs. Mike is a powerhouse, and we're super excited to have him with us today. How are you doing, Mike?
Been great. It's been an amazing day. Tons of progress and momentum in projects and business ventures and clients, and just love seeing people win, and excited to connect with you two lovely ladies.
Amazing. We are so excited to have you. We want to know, where you are located and based, and how quarantine life has been for you thus far.
Sorry, our internet cut out there. What did you ask there? Sorry.
How is quarantine life for you, and where are you located right now?
Good question. I'm actually in Charleston, South Carolina, and quarantine life is essentially over, fortunately, for me. In the South, I think the rebel spirit is still prevalent, and most places are at least partially open. And it feels good to be out, like working out in the gym, to going to restaurants, to having a drink out or a dinner out. And but not everything's reopened. But I'm also really ready for the world to get back to normal. But that's probably another year or two away, based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah, yes, definitely. So can you tell us a little bit about your brand and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so basically I love helping smart people get unstuck. And I've found that it's not just, like, most of us know what we should do and what our next steps are, but there's subconscious belief barriers. It could be traumas, it could be agreements we made about our self-worth, about our abilities, that someone told us this or that, and we internalized and agreed with that statement. So I like to create rapid transformation and key leaders and achievers and entrepreneurs by helping rewire the subconscious, because 98% of our decisions are made in the subconscious. So when we create a pathway of transformation and belief, using advanced NLP techniques and practices, and then I create strategies around, like, how to create an irresistible offer, and how to build your platform, and know your zone of genius, and all those different techniques I've created. But that's the core essence of what I do, is first get people unstuck, then gain clarity, then create an amazing offer that works for your core audience.
Amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you got into becoming a business architect, and your story into how you realized that people were stuck and you were called to unstick them?
Yeah, I had 1 year, this is back like 7 years ago maybe, I had I think I started like 4 or 5 businesses in that 1 year with some different business partners, and I was starting getting some local press and different things. And then I just started having friends on Facebook, reach out to me over the next year or so. Hey, Mike, can we grab coffee? Can I get 20 minutes of your time? I got this business idea, this project, whatever. And I realized, like, man, there was a lot of people that wanted to do something meaningful and significant, but they didn't have clarity on where they're really freaking amazing. Like, where's your zone where you're a badass? And then where's your area that you suck ass, in a way? Like, how do you stay in this lane over here and design your business around your gifting while complementing your weaknesses? And so everyone asks at some point or another, like, hey, what on earth am I here for? What's my purpose? And there's some gaps between belief that actually I can do my purpose and make a good living. Mm-hmm. So I started, I had so many people reaching out to me, but I noticed that the people that didn't pay didn't take action, and it was like almost a waste of hot air. And so I was like, I got to start charging. And I still do some pro bono time, but I know some people that parted with real money, they took real action. And I was like, I got to be more committed to that and make this more of a priority and figure out how I can help more entrepreneurs. And to date, I've mentored over 100 entrepreneurs at one point or another. And I love doing it.
Wow.
Amazing.
Amazing. When the entrepreneurs come to you, what do you find is the biggest thing that's keeping them stuck? Like what's
Good question. There's often money mindset barriers. Like, if you grew up poor, like my dad did not have, he didn't even have a high school education. So he finished school in eighth grade, immigrant, right? Like, so he didn't speak the language when he moved here. My dad grew up he's German and moved here when he was 22. And so he passed on some of those mindsets and the energy around money as well. And so if you look, I like to call it the middle class mindset is like, hey, if some of the things that we believe is money doesn't grow on trees. Well, save $1 for a rainy day, things like that. What money is made out of paper, right? And then when we save and we don't spend and we don't invest, and also that some of that blue collar work ethic of like that grit,
yeah.
that only gets you so far. Like you can only work so hard.
Yeah.
Like if I say to you girls, hey, all right, 5x your business, you got to work 5 times as hard.
Oh.
Can you freaking do that?
No. No.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that means that the mindset has to shift.
Mm-hmm.
And because what happens, most business owners have to, and entrepreneurs and even salespeople, you have to shift from being the doer to being the decider. And of course, you have to be able to make effective decisions. And it might go from like 95% doer and 5% decider to 75% doer and 25% decider as you grow. And then eventually it might be 50-50 and then 25-75. Just where you work your way out of the organization in the sense of the daily activities so that you can make smarter strategic decisions and design the business, design the sales model, design the marketing, be the face of the brand, whatever it may be. Like Oprah, what's Oprah do now? Like she has to protect her bandwidth to make smart strategic decisions around the O network.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it starts with that, like you said, that money mindset, because sometimes, like you said, the blue collar mindset is just to work and then save. And then you don't understand that, like you can invest and you need to develop. There's more to develop in the money mindset. So I really love that you teaching that as a part of your program.
And I think another thing that you hit on that is important for the audience to know, because this is something that I've learned along the journey, is you can invest in things, but I think the most valuable thing is investing in yourself, investing in education, investing in learning about the skill that you want to hone in and craft and become the best at. So that goes back to the money mindset too, because you have to invest. You have to invest in yourself to be the best version of yourself.
You have something in common, Kane, with Warren Buffett. One of my favorite quotes from Warren Buffett is, "The single best investment you ever make is in yourself."
Wow. Love that.
Well, I know. I hope to get to Warren Buffett level, please. So I guess we're on a good start.
That's right.
So speaking of building your business and building your brand, what morals and values did you bring into building your brand, and how important was that for it to continue to be a part of your brand?
Yeah, great question. So my dad and also my faith really infused me to serve others with love. Like faith-wise, it's like, I feel like God has put us on earth to use our gifts to serve the world and make the world a better place. And that's the core essence of a great business as well, is it creates value, creates impact, serves people. So that's a piece of it. And then, that infuses like selling decisions, right? Part of my philosophy is you should never sell someone anything more than they should buy, but also you should ethically care enough about the client or the prospect that you should never sell them anything less than they should buy. Like if they really need this or this or this, but they're afraid and you're afraid to recommend it because you think it might be too much for them, then you're handcuffing them and you're demeaning them by not believing in them enough to really serve them and to ask for them to step up to, what they truly need.
That's good.
That's
Yeah,
really, really
that's
good.
really, really good. I love that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? Like, how would you coach that situation where you're in a situation where you don't know how to sell to that client because you're like, oh, you think the price is too high, you have fear, they have fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. So I would say with that situation, with the client, you've got to get yourself out of the way, and in the sense of where is it they really, really want to be, and then and if they want to be in, like, for example, let's say I'm an author and I really want to be a New York Times bestselling author, and the campaigns and the relationships might take $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I tell you, hey, you know what, I think we have a shot to get it done for $100,000, but I know it really probably takes $300,000, then I've not served you. And I've got to be honest, care enough about you that I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
And say, hey, Kanae, your first book, if you want to get it there, it's going to take $300,000. So now the question is, how do you come up with $300,000? So then I put it back on you. Let's think creatively. Let's think resourcefully. How do we come up with a plan to raise $300,000? Because I know that's a stretch. So, and it goes down to how much do I care about that client? Do I care about hurting their feelings or shocking them, or because also, if you care enough about them to treat them honestly, then they will likely come back to you. They might go somewhere else and end up getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And what I hear is like honesty, integrity.
Yep.
That goes a long way, despite, that the example you use of a $300,000 investment. If you're being honest with me and I feel that we're going to work together to come up with a solution because you are trying to get to the end goal, which is be the New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
So honesty, integrity is super important. My question is, so was there ever a time where you were stuck? And
there's been plenty. Which one do I cover?
well, you can give us an example just to the audience, and how you were able to get out of that too.
Yeah, I think of one, right before we got married, like my wife and I, we got married back in 2018. And about 45 days before we got married, my cash cow business, which was my real estate team at the time, where I was generating most of my profits, and I had one of the top real estate teams in Nashville at the time. 45 days before we got married, my business partner and I had a little bit of a rift, and we ended up splitting. The team ended up just disintegrating, basically. And that was like, man, that was a tough pickle, because I was counting on, like, my expenses were going up and now my cash flow just plummeted. And I had my marketing agency wasn't profitable at the time, so I was kind of cash flowing it through my real estate business, or through my income from my real estate business. And it was a difficult season. And what you had to do is, I felt morally obligated to finish out some of the marketing contracts that I had, and really I should have paused them and just canceled and refunded in hindsight, but I didn't know, because it ended up being not working out the way I wanted, and some of those clients weren't as happy as I would have liked. But what I ended up doing is just every day, you know, I would work on my mindset. Like I would start my day working on my money mindset, working on my life mindset, reading a book. Like I read 45 money mindset books and positive mindset books in about a year and a half or 2 years, just as I was rebuilding, plus the other books that I was reading, because I was like, man, I read You Are a Badass at Making Money 5 times, Science of Getting Rich 5 times. Like I was just going through it. I was in the season of crisis where thing after thing that, you know, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars per thing sometimes were hitting me. And, you know, basically divine storm. And I was like, hey, how I'm going to get through this is one day at a time. It's like, if you watch the Michael Jordan documentary, and the last episode says something profound. He's like, you know, do you ever get stressed about, you know, the challenges ahead or those things? He's like, no, I'm not worried about the shot I haven't taken yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking that shot today. I'm not taking that shot right now. He had the power of being present to the very moment. And so when we go through crises, which a lot of people are going through challenges and crises, I've already gone through mine. So I'm like actually just as good, if not better than ever right now. Like my businesses are growing and my revenue streams growing, and I'm like on the ascension again. And, but I had to do it day by day. And, does that kind of hit the question? I got one more cool story from Elon Musk. All right. So I heard this cool story about Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all those guys at PayPal, back at PayPal, when PayPal was just going up and to the right. It's on this Masters of Scale podcast. And, you know, they were just growing like crazy, but they were getting 30,000 emails a month, 30,000 inquiries about like, you know, payments and different things when PayPal and eBay were just like both growing like crazy. And they only had 8 customer support staff. So they were way understaffed. And like Elon would show up at work sometimes at like 8 a.m., 7 a.m., and there'd be like 3 or 4 people outside the headquarters of PayPal wanting to know where their like $47 were from eBay or whatever. And they were unlisted. The address was unlisted. The phone number was unlisted, but somehow people were finding the phone numbers and the addresses and calling. Like they'd just be calling and say, dialing numbers on, trying to get a hold of someone to help them because they were so understaffed and for support. And so Elon and Peter Thiel are answering these phones and from random people, and they're not the customer support. And then the story was, for about a year and a half that was happening, they were like, hey, we had to let some fires burn while we locked in on some other things, like while we were in the hyper growth season. We couldn't solve that problem yet. You know, you can't solve every problem. You can't make every single person happy right away. You do what you can today. And it's part of the developing thick skin as a business owner of like, man, you know what? You're going to get some arrows. You're going to get some complaints. You're going to get some people frustrated, employees, partners, clients, whatever. You got to do the best you can to just solve the problem you can solve today.
Yeah. That's really, really good
advice.
Yeah, lots of gems there.
Also, you know, I like what you said, we all go through crises, and there's always a season, and you know, the crisis makes you stronger if you keep, you know, if you persevere through, you're gonna come out on the other side. It's literally for a season. It could be longer than other seasons, it could be short, but it is a season and it will end. And it reminds me of the scripture in the Bible that says, you know, God tells us not to worry about tomorrow. He tells us to just, he's got us today. He's got us covered, just worried about today. Don't even think about tomorrow. So that goes into what you were saying as well.
And I also think you noted that when you went into a crisis, you did something. You started reading. You read. You started developing your mindset. You knew that you were going through a crisis, so you took the time out to develop that mindset and really dig in. Reading 45 books, that's a lot. I'm like, woo!
Right. Struggling to get through like one or two.
Right. So I really love that you dug in. You really went in hard to develop your mindset during that time, because that helps to keep you on track. And okay.
Yeah, it's one of few things, like starting your day off, and I don't know what your all's morning routines are, but starting your day off, feeding yourself, controlling the flow of emotion, of information, instead of allowing, like if I pop up my phone and I read the news and check my Facebook, Instagram, now I've started my day off. I've given over control. Now I'm reacting instead of directing.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Actually,
So I got to feed myself first. Like before I turn my phone on, airplane mode. I'm in airplane mode. I'm reading a book. I'm reading my inspirational spiritual texts. I'm meditating. I'm visualizing. I'm journaling. I'm writing down what I'm grateful for. I'm maybe getting a little bit of a run in or some exercise just for 5 minutes even, to get me awake and get me in state.
Love that. Turn the phone on airplane mode, people.
Come on.
It's a huge distraction.
It is. It really is.
It's
That's a struggle in itself because you're getting so many alerts, emails, notifications from Instagram. It's just like throw the whole phone away.
Yes,
exactly.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to ask you a little bit about fashion. Do you connect with the message when you look better, you feel better?
Oh, yeah.
How have you, do you put that into your business model at all?
Yeah, like certain meetings or environments, like I'm very big on like environmental design as a predicate of success. And by environmental design, it's like you're looking at your thoughts, your feelings, your relationships, how you move, the fuel you put in your body, your location. Because if your location is dull and uninspiring, and the way you dress is dull and uninspiring, you're not going to show up in your most powerful state. So like, I've got certain John Barbados outfits that I love, that I'm wearing those when I'm going out, or date with my wife or whatever it may be, or a speaking event. I want to like look sharp. I'm going to be on point, and that's why I'm not big on like working in pajamas and different things too. You're more than likely not going to show up your best.
No. Get out of your pajamas.
Yeah, yes, we've had so many of our speakers we've interviewed have said no pajamas. That doesn't help you go.
And then, I think because everyone's in quarantine right now, it's so easy, right, to fall into the habit of just like, oh, I'm at home, I don't have anyone to impress, or, there's nowhere to go, I'm just at home. But you'll feel a lot better if you just get dressed.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how would you describe your personal style?
I'd say classy with a little bit of edge. So, I definitely get form-fitting shirts and, jeans. My favorite brands to wear are Hugo Boss and John Barbados. So, that's who I'm wearing and more often than not. I don't have enough flair. I would say I need to add a little more flair, a little more pizzazz sometimes. But I'm getting there. So.
Do you feel as though your style has evolved as you built your business?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of matured. While I am still casual, I'm a little bit less casual. And a little bit more intentional and thoughtful with it. So yeah, I think, and it should, right? Like as we grow and mature, we should be continuing to develop out our style.
Yes, 100% agree. And this is a note, I think, for the audience, you know, it building in your style and branding, like as you evolve, as you grow in your confidence, like everything should start to flow together. Like you shouldn't stay stuck in one space over here. If you're growing over here, it should be sort of like ever flowing.
Yeah. An evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we've talked a little bit about building your brand. We talked a little bit about style. We want to go into a time maybe in your life as you're building your brand, or maybe in childhood, where you were finding your confidence.
Yes.
You there,
In my
Matt?
childhood, sports was a big part of it. Like sports for me, really developing mental toughness through team sports, and then the discipline and the rigor around, competition and sports. That was huge for me. And I really believe that, you should be pushed to your limits and push past your mental comfort zone. And also learn how to cooperate, learn how to handle failure, right? Part of the reason I can handle failure really well overall is because I experienced plenty of failure in sports. I experienced success, but it also taught me a lot. So I think we gotta get comfortable failing forward faster in terms of our mentality around our business and dating, life, everything. Like it's, you know what? Failure is not trying.
Right.
Why do you think people in general don't, why do they feel like failure? Like, why don't we embrace failure more as a culture, especially because it's part of success?
Yeah.
What do you think the block is there?
I think in our culture, we're seeing a lot of people are hesitant to fail, but sometimes because of insecurities around what it means to fail. Even part of the middle class mindset is, hey, you know what? You need to make A's and B's in school and things like that, and get a good job, and not put yourself out, protect what you have and not take risk. So there's a lot of elements built in versus, the average millionaire has been bankrupt twice,
Right.
something like that. Our own president has filed bankruptcy at least 4 times that we know of. And it's like Damon John, the guy at Fubu, he started it, had wild success, then the business model wasn't working, something was going off, and he had to close it down. He closed it down for a year and a half, and then he brought it back.
Yeah.
And so getting really comfortable with failing is but seeing failure is not final. It's a learning process, and it's a gift for the next season.
That's good.
That's really, really good.
That.
Is there something that a time where you failed in, where you told us kind of about a time, but that you failed that you would say really helped to build where you are now, that really spoke to you, that really, really made you be like, wow, this was a real lesson, or you recognize that was a lesson? Mike?
Sorry, I missed the question. It cut out during the question. Is there a time that you failed and then wow is what I got. So.
I was just saying, speaking of failure, is there a time that you can relate to us that you failed and you just brought yourself out of it? Or you recognize the lesson in failing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, so many of them. If I look back at, I went through a hyper growth period in 2014 and 2015, but then it led to failures in 2017 and 2018, and even some in 2019. And some of the things was, I was a little naive and a little too trusting. B, I put myself at too much risk. And C, there was times I didn't trust the intuition of my wife, who was advising me and encouraging me towards certain things. And I also had D, I had irrational overconfidence. And then the fifth thing is, it's also led to my zone of genius process is, I didn't have the businesses designed as well as they should have been, where I was out of the operations and I was playing in my zone of genius. I was playing out of position too often. And that was a real challenge. And that cost me, hundreds of thousands of dollars at different times.
Wow. But you know what's so crazy? You just listed all of those things, but had you not done that, you wouldn't have been able to list all those things that you learned. So it's like bittersweet.
It goes back to that.
Yeah.
Failure is okay. It's going to happen. It's going to build you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also love that you said overconfidence. That's we're talking about being confident, and a lot of the audience, that's what the title of the show is. And so overconfidence, is that something that you struggle with, like as that ego? Is that coming from a place more of insecurity? What was it?
I think it's, you go through a season sometimes as an entrepreneur, business owner, or whatever, like when momentum is on your side. I actually write about this in my second book. When momentum is on your side, you think you're better than you are. When momentum is not on your side, you think you're worse than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so you're making decisions based out of that overconfidence.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see all the things that can go wrong. And at some point or another, a lot of those things might go wrong, and you might hit a perfect storm where so many things go wrong that you did not expect.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I never really thought about overconfidence.
No.
And how that could potentially be just as detrimental as lacking confidence.
Yeah.
It's essentially kind of the same.
Yeah. When I think of overconfidence, I think of like your ego gets the best of you. It's like you go into this egotistical moments in your mind, and it's like you don't think you're like on top of the world, and then you don't think you can crash.
And then you
Yes.
and then you crash.
No doubt. It's crazy. It definitely happens. We all do.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your brand. We've heard some of your personal testimonies. We've talked about your style, confidence. We just want to tie all of those things together, and we want to know what you think owning your image means. And the audience wants to know too.
That's great. Great question. I think it's a combo of, what do people feel when they think of you or they hear your name? What do people see? What do people say, feel, see, say? And then energetically, what do they sense? Like, you can sense when you interact with someone, are they a generous person? Are they a good person? Or are they kind of self-absorbed?
Mm-hmm.
Or is their life, right? So like all those things, feel, see, say, and because what they're saying is also your brand story. What's your life story all about? What do they, how do you project yourself is what they see. And then of course what they feel is just subconscious.
Okay.
Love that. Okay, thank you so much, Mike. You've shared some jewels with us today, and we know you have something to offer the audience.
Yes.
I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of different things. One, I've got my new book called Twice Born: How a Crisis Can Remake You, that I'm writing with my wife and another buddy. So that is going to be available. I'll send you guys the link and the download code as well. And then I've of course got coaching sessions. I'm glad to do hot seats with any of your audience that feels like, hey, I want to connect with this guy more. I normally don't offer them publicly, but I'll give you guys the link that people can schedule a entrepreneur hot seat session where I've had people unlock 10% to 20% of profits in their business from a single session, where we just do a deep dive and go into your business model, your irresistible offer or lack thereof, and so much more.
Wow,
Ooh,
that's
I love that.
amazing.
That's good, guys. Jump on that.
Yes, definitely want to be hot seated by this guy. Sounds really good. Amazing. So how can we all stay in contact with you?
Great question. My website, mikezeller.com, and then my Instagram handle is Michael R. Zeller, Facebook, Michael Zeller, and LinkedIn, Michael Zeller. So we'd love to connect with any of you guys.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. We hope the audience appreciates it.
And we'll talk soon.
Sounds great.
Bye, guys.